Welcome to Leadership Conversations, where we talk with today's real-world leaders. My name is Marnie Fletcher and I'm the founder of Build, Grow, Leverage. And today we're here with Rachel Morley, who is a Regional Executive at Bank of Melbourne. Welcome, Rach.
Hi, Mars.
So at Build, Grow, Leverage, we connect our clients with heart-centred leadership, which is, we feel, the place where you have a real impact both on yourself as well as the people around you. And that's where I'd like to start the conversation today.
Okay.
And Rach, can you share with us, what is your definition of heart-centred leadership?
I guess it's a really interesting one, and I think it's the longer you are a leader, you actually look for that in yourself. So if I look at my journey over the years, it has really been that evolving process of actually finding who you truly are as a leader and as a person, and trying to find that place where you're actually at peace with who you are as a leader and really connecting in with your people and making decisions from what's right for you and your people, but also for the business. So I guess that's something that some people see heart-centered leadership might be getting into that fluffy, airy-fairy space, but it is actually combining the two.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Oh, good question. I guess, you know, as senior business leaders, a lot of the training does go into the fundamentals of how you run an effective business, and that's very rational thinking, but it is always questioning each and every step along the way whether it's the right thing to do for your people.
Yeah, great.
Ultimately.
And speaking of rational thinking, I think as leaders in the corporate world, we're kind of trained and we grow up as leaders with the premise of rational thinking and more what I call leadership from the head.
Yeah.
So in the corporate world, is there someone that you would see as someone who's really role modelled heart-centred leadership despite the influence of that rational thinking around them?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think I've been incredibly fortunate in my career that I've had lots of those examples.
Yeah.
But I think one that we've both been fortunate to work with and for is absolutely Elizabeth Prowse.
Oh, yeah.
So absolutely incredible leader. Every role that I've seen her in, whether it was head of HR for ANZ, the way that she would make people feel in those very special moments, but never being afraid to be a strong leader and make the tough decisions when they're needed, and really think through what the business needs to look like, but absolutely making her people feel special and treasured along the way and connected in the vision ahead. Yeah,
she is an amazing woman, that's for sure. Yeah. And so, Rach, for yourself as a leader, you know, you're very well respected, you've got a lot of experience, but your people love you. What makes you different as a leader?
I think what makes me different is, I guess, that blend of actually having really good rational thinking and training and thinking quite deeply about my business, but always at the heart of it is my people. I absolutely love them. And I guess it's that fundamental belief that I'm here to make a difference to them and help them achieve what's possible, maybe more so than they ever believed in themselves. And I get an absolute kick out of that. So really creating that supported network for my team to be successful and achieve together, and always challenging ourselves to make the right decisions for everyone.
Yeah, well, they're very lucky to have you.
Thanks.
And we see around us people, you know, making mistakes in their leadership.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of myths that exist around leadership as well. What would you say are the biggest mistakes or myths around leadership?
Yeah, good question. Look, I think it is that you have to be a certain way to be successful and be a senior leader. Look, if I think back to my early days as a leader, I was naturally in tune with myself, but there were times where you lose your way because you think that you have to present as quite forceful, quite direct, and very aggressive in some ways to actually make it in the corporate world. So that's absolutely a myth. I found the more that I allowed myself to be true to who I was and my values, my people responded. It didn't mean that I was any less decisive or effective. It actually made me more so.
Yeah, awesome. And what do you know, in leadership again, where we grow up with kind of these structures and routines to follow.
Yeah.
What would you say are one of the biggest wastes of time around leadership?
Look, I think one of the necessary evils is meetings, but I think, you know, as leaders, we do spend an unbelievable amount of time in the corporate world actually talking about the business and talking about concepts, which reflection is a really good use of time, but the meetings per se, not so much.
Yeah.
So I'd much rather be spending productive time in reflection with my peers, but getting out with my people and actually making a difference. That's where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah. And is there a way you achieve that?
Well, I think it's being honest with each other. So if you're in a meeting and it's really not advancing the cause and really connected with the business and achieving our goals and thinking about our people and really making a difference there, that's where you have to call it and make sure you're making the most of your time.
Yeah, not always easy to do.
Not always easy to do, absolutely. But I think we owe it to each other to actually have that level of honesty.
Yeah, agree. And so for you, growing up as a leader, are there any valuable books or resources you've used to help you in your growth? Yeah,
definitely, and continually. So I guess there's a couple of books in recent years that I've called on a little bit more. So Simon Sinek is a popular one with a lot of people, but Start With Why was a really good resource for me. It was one of those yes moments where you actually connect with a message because it's what you've actually naturally been discovering yourself in a leader. And I think that's really helped me connect with my team and get programs of work that actually make them true to themselves, and how we connect with our customers has been amazing. True North is another one. That really talks about that level of authentic leadership and really tapping into who you are as a person and what you contribute to a business and making sure that's very much aligned. But outside of that, I would say for me, it's, experiences. When I went to Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within, was an unexpected experience because I actually went to support a girlfriend that wanted that experience, and I didn't think it was for me, but it absolutely became about me, and really pushing yourself to be courageous and believe in your unlimited potential. So it was amazing.
Awesome. I want to do that program myself. Did you walk on hot coals?
I did. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I had actually told myself I was not going to do it beforehand because it was very, it seemed quite a risky thing to do. But, in that moment where you were actually there present with Tony and believing in what's possible, it had to be done.
Yeah, fantastic. So my final question for you, Rach, bit of a hypothetical.
Okay.
So imagine you're my coach and I'm working with you at Bank of Melbourne, and there's an award for Leader of the Year.
Okay.
And your job is to coach me to win that award.
Yeah.
And to get a bit of skin in the game, you've got $1 million on the line. So if I win that award, you're $1 million richer.
Ooh, awesome.
So what would you do? Where would you start?
Okay, I've got 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. So look, I think the first place to start is really getting you in tune with yourself, who you are as a person and what's special about you and how you can connect with the team. So I think that's very much the first place that we'd start. But you would have to be connected with your team in that time. So getting to know them and what they need from you as a leader. There would have to be experiences along the way. So immersing you probably in the more challenging parts of leadership, because I think that's definitely where we get tested, and particularly that connection with your team gets tested. So real life experiences, there would have to be elements of really challenging you to think through your leadership. So study is absolutely part of that, but reflection time would have to be a really key part of the 4 weeks as well. Yeah, awesome. I love it. And I think that whole starting with yourself is so important, because you have to understand who you are before you can actually be in service to your people properly. So yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for joining us today in Leadership Conversations. And for those of you out there, remember that leadership, it starts with you. And so in order to make a difference on those around you, first understand yourself. Thank you.